under this fountain. That is one of the kidney stones.
Donc on fait semblant de s'engueuler.
You don't see my shit.
The aqueduct.
over there with that guy. Monkey. No, there's a fountain. A monkey.
The Chinese cafe room house.
You go, mate.
Boom. Yeah.
The heavy drink.
So I used to every morning when we were working, I said, I was going this morning, I have you know,
가서.
차를 길게 안 빼더라. 차. 그리고 짜를 짜.
버스, 네.
No, bro, non ci sei voluto passare, non stava scritta per te. Andiamo.
어, 왜 20m?